Uh, the public artwork thing I became most interested in that and working with my mentor, Richard Hunt, whose legacy is beyond compare in terms of American sculptors. He have not gotten his just due just yet as an American sculptor, but I mean, he's highly recognized as one of the best in the world. So I got a chance to meet him when I was in undergraduate school at Kentucky State University. And then after meeting him and seeing his work, I don't know, it just did something in terms of me as a young African American artist to recognize with someone who was that successful and just take it upon myself to want to go in that same route of fabrication, metal fabrication. And it's just so happened that one of my instructors had just bought a arc welder, set up a little small welding area, and that's where it all started. Started right there. So I started welding, started doing everything. So I made a significant enough work to have an exhibition, and then within the exhibition, that allowed me to receive recognition from University of Kentucky, which they had a Lyman T. Johnson Award scholarship for a master's program. So within the master's program, I got the award, and I was able to then study my master's at University of Kentucky. Well, within that time period, I wanted to go and meet Richard Hunt. So the graduate school gave me money and gave me travel to go and visit him at his studio. One of my cousins actually set everything up, and we went by there, and he was just gracious and showed me in. We talked and everything. And at the same time, he was presenting a piece called Eagle Columns. It's a piece that's right outside of his studio today. And he was just presenting that piece. So all that experience was over, and I went back and finished. And then I got a Ford postdoctoral fellowship to study art at the Art Institute of Chicago. So once I'm there, after 1 year, you got to have a review. Someone has to review your work and send that in as part of your completion of the fellowship. So I asked Richard, and he came by my studio, reviewed my work, and after he reviewed my work, he looked at me and said, "Do you need a job?" And I said, "Yes." And he hired me as his assistant. And when he hired me as an assistant, the piece we worked on was Eagle Columns. So there's this really weird kind of faith thing happening there in terms of how we all came about. And till this day, we're still really close, very good friends. And he's now writing the foreword to my book. And visited him last year, and he's still doing it, and everything's going well. So again, as far as the public art thing, that's what got me really involved. And the other thing I love about public art is the fact that you don't have to invite anybody to the public art. The work is out there. Thousands of people see it. If they understand it, if they don't understand it, it's already out in the community. So it's almost like a seed or a tree that you plant somewhere, and people come in contact and get whatever they're going to get from it on a daily basis. I work in stainless steel, so that's probably the most significant metal you can work with because it does not oxidize. It always keeps its gleam and shape and everything. Bronze is going to patina and turn green eventually and stuff like that. Mild steel is going to rust, so I work with stainless, okay? So up until this point, I'm pretty much close around 38 public artworks throughout this eastern states. Richard Hunt is like 170 public artworks throughout the United States and internationally, So that just lets you know how far we got to go to catch up with him, right? But again, I love public art. It's a whole different process because you have to write proposals, you have to make models. You got to meet with committee people. Sometimes it's very political in terms of how the selection process is. I always say it's almost like being a prize fighter. You have to box and win so many commissions for you to be recognized and rank yourself up. You know, it's a really weird, weird analogy of how that works, but that's how I feel about it. So the more commission pieces I do, the more pieces I can show a committee, it tends to be I become more competitive and I become more in the higher numbers of commissions. Because commissions can go anywhere from $20,000 to $550,000. So they really get up there very expensive based on the amount of work, the space, the popularity of the space. It also breaks down in terms of local, city, regional, state, and then there's national, international. And then again, it always based on economics. Just like, for instance, you all have a lot of buildings being built around here now. I don't know. They may have cut out some money in the budget for art. So now they go searching for the artists, or they do what they call a call for art. And when you do a call for art, then artists recognize that, and what they do is they apply. You put all your information in, and then hopefully you get a call. You know, once you get a call, hopefully you then are finalists. And then again, they have what they call semifinalists too. So that becomes a point in which you become part of maybe 2 to 5 people that's competing for the same piece. So now you further develop the piece, or you go in and do an interview and stuff like that. Like I said, I have been in some processes where it's taken over a year for the whole thing to come to fruition, you know? And I compete for so many of them. I always say if you compete, if you apply for 10, you might get 1. All right. So it's very, very competitive, and it's a lot of work, awful lot of work, you know. And the downfall of it all is the fact that you put so much time and effort into it, you know, particularly like this piece here. This is the Frankfurt COVID Memorial. And you can't imagine how much time I put into this proposal. And I was one of the finalists, but they chose to go with another commission. And it's just I think it's a really excellent concept, to the contrary of what the piece was supposed to be about, which is a place for people to come and memorialize the loved ones who lost their lives to COVID. You know, that was quite a concept to take on, because, you know, you had to ask yourself, what does that look like? You know, how would people appreciate what a sculpture is supposed to look like making those kind of statements, you know? So that's the kind of thing that happens when you get these call for artists. They give you a theme and you got to come up with something, you know? So this is what this area is also about too, all these different commissions that I've done and succeeded in doing that.